Anime MMORPGs. Should we lay the subgenre to rest, or is there still hope? Let's take a few minutes and talk about that. So I am a huge anime fan. I grew up in the mornings watching anime like Dragon Ball, Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Cardcaptors every day before school. They were essentially a part of my daily routine. I would watch the newest Dragon Ball Z episode, then I would set my VCR. Yeah, I'm really that old that my family used a VCR when I was a kid to record whichever series came after Dragon Ball Z, since I had to walk to school every morning. Ever since then, I have been an avid fan of anime. I've watched so many anime over the course of my life. Granted, I do not have nearly as much time as I would like to watch anime these days because, unfortunately, even though I may not seem like it, I am an adult and I have to do adult things and, everything that comes with that. However, I still have time to sit down and play MMOs literally every day. Partly because that's my job, and partly because that's what I do in my spare time. Anime MMORPGs have always held a very special place in my heart. The game that got me into this genre was Tales of Pirates, or Pirate King Online, depending on the region that you played from. It was a PvPvE MMO. It had a large open world filled with tens of thousands of players. It had open instance dungeons where you weren't required to party with other people to see them actually appear in the dungeons alongside you, and dungeons were PvP enabled. This promoted, I guess, like a sense, or not so much a sense, more like a need to enter with a group of people, because other guilds, if you weren't in a guild or if you were in a smaller guild, other guilds would enter with groups of people, literal groups like 10, 20, 30 people, and they would tackle this dungeon together. The dungeons, or this specific dungeon in particular called Demonic World, featured like multiple different floors, and each floor had their own unique boss. There was only one boss, and time to complete the dungeon and therefore kill the boss and get the loot from the dungeon was finite. The dungeon itself would expire whether or not you completed it, whether or not you managed to down the boss or not. This meant that you essentially had to work with other people to deal enough DPS to actually down the boss, otherwise the entire endeavor would be pointless, completely pointless. Now, while I've enjoyed countless MMORPGs over the years since playing Tales of Pirates as a young teen, that was my introduction into the genre. To date, I have never played another game like it, and I probably never will. But that is alright. The game died after several years due to the greed from IGG, the publisher behind it. And that brings me to the ultimate purpose behind this video. I wanted to talk to you guys about the anime MMORPG genre, but I didn't really want to do like a top 5 or top 10 anime MMOs list. Instead, I just wanted to talk about anime MMORPGs in general. See, despite what some people would have you believe, the MMORPG genre, the anime MMO subgenre even, is far from dying. I mean, yes, it has definitely stagnated. Anime MMOs used to release like almost every single year with games like Flyff, Fiesta, Mabinogi, Elsword, Dragon Nest, Eden Eternal, Maple Story, Grand Fantasia, Rose Online, Dungeon Fighter Online, and so many more being very prevalent titles in the genre. The mid-2000s and early 2010s were the age of the anime MMO. There were millions of players split amongst a seemingly endless surplus of titles, and I believe that's part of the reason that most of them died. See, developers, they had grown so comfortable, so content with the kind of titles that they were pushing out, that the player base that supported the games kind of just got bored and moved on. Developers themselves put no time, no effort, and no innovation into making a game that would evolve with the player base. Like even newer games like Aura Kingdom and Twin Saga, they followed the same formula that older anime MMOs followed, and they died just as rapidly as they appeared. Yet even despite the repeated failure of every title, fans of the subgenre continue to wait for that very special something that will really captivate them. Although this isn't exclusive to the anime subgenre, it is definitely the general state we're in right now, especially after Nexon canceled Period Chronicles. That is a blow that fans are still feeling to this day. Period Chronicles was something that players were highly anticipating for years. It was a large sandbox anime MMORPG that offered players creative freedom with a graphical style better than any other anime title out right now. I personally was ecstatic when it was announced that they were performing internal beta tests for the game, because to me, that was solid physical proof that they were moving along with the game, that progress was actually being made. But shortly after that, they had announced that the game was closing down and they were ceasing any further development. But you know what? This was Nexon after all, so it comes with the territory. Yet even after Period Chronicles' closure, we remained hopeful. And that was rewarded when Bandai Namco announced that they were creating Blue Protocol, a complete open-world anime-inspired MMORPG, but made with present-generation gamers in mind. So this game would essentially cater to the current gamer as opposed to trying to stick to a prehistoric formula that doesn't belong in this day or age. But that isn't the only title. We have smaller-scale multiplayer games like Grand Saga and Genshin Impact coming out. We also have larger MMOs like Temtem and Blue Protocol scheduled to come out in the near future as well. Okay, well, I mean, Project BBQ is, I think, being published or created in some form with Nexon, so yeah, that might end up turning out, well, I don't know, I guess I will let history speak for itself here. But nevertheless, Blue Protocol, Grand Saga, Genshin Impact, and Temtem all look very, very highly promising. And those are just a few on the horizon. If they're all well received, we can expect those games to be the foundation of a brand new style of anime MMO. And I feel as though we kinda need that right now. The old formula that once worked is long since past being an acceptable state to release a game in. But even though these games do look promising, there are still certain things we need from them. Certain requirements, certain, I don't know, expectations that I believe need to be met if we're going to move into 2020 and beyond and have a healthy anime scene. Instead of being cookie cutter MMOs that feature linear progression, we need to realize that they need to have a good narrative to push the story along. Or heck, they need an actual story that we can relate to and connect to. All of these games look to feature action combat as opposed to the tried and tested traditional tab target, so I feel as though it's a step in the right direction. We need group content. We really, I cannot stress how deeply we need group content. Difficult content that pushes us to seek out and play with other players as opposed to soloing everything ourselves. We have become so disconnected from one another in anime MMOs, and this needs to be remedied. But most importantly, we need less of a focus on the endgame and a larger focus on actually getting there. I have high hopes for the anime MMOs releasing in the future. Maybe these games in specific will be great. Maybe they'll fall victim to the same issues we've seen time and time again. Nevertheless, I believe that eventually we're going to get something to breathe new life into and then further revitalize the genre. Personally, I am a huge fan of it, and I'm not gonna let anything stop me from enjoying it until the very last moment that I can. But that's just my opinion, my impressions of the anime MMO genre right now. What do you guys think? Are you looking forward to any anime MMOs? Do any look exciting? Will you try any out, or do you even want to? Let me know in the comments below and let's talk about it. Anyway guys, that is it for me. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.
Someday soon, I'm gonna make